Hey guys, I've seen something repeated a little bit, and I thought I'd take a moment to clear up something that I think a lot of people are misinterpreting. This is the charts, the new charts with the AA score and altcoin alert, where you have the green being the price line, like the daily close of, whatever asset, Bitcoin in this instance, and then the white line is the AA score. On the right, you have the scale for Bitcoin's price, and on the left, you have the scale for the altcoin alert score. What has been repeated is the relationship of the two lines, either one looking at across, like right here, you have the AA score crossing over Bitcoin price, or I've seen people talking about the relationship of a gap between, the score and price. And that's sort of a deceptive the way the chart is plotted, it's a bit misleading. Like the data, like these are two separate streams of data plotted on two different scales, and they're plotted this way arbitrarily just to make the information more visible. Like the relationship that's plotted here isn't the actual relationship between the two assets. So determining some or making some analysis off of that relationship can change like completely just by plotting it different. Well, I'll show you what I mean. So here, like I can't plot the AA score on TradingView, obviously. But I loaded up RSI because that's a similar measured oscillator. Like it goes from 0 to 100, just like the AA score is. And then I also have Bitcoin's daily close here plotted up on the charts. So from this view, like you wouldn't be considering the relationship of like the price peak here to the price peak here. Like you wouldn't look at that and determine some, reason to enter in onto a signal. And the same way, there's no cross of like either of these, two oscillators. So like you wouldn't make some trade based off of one crossing the other. And that's because like they're on two different scales. But what they've done on altcoin alert is on their sentiment charts is they've added one on top of the other. Oh, dang it. Sorry. Move to existing pane above. All right. So we're going to take off. All right. So now all we've got is this is essentially what their sentiment charts look like, where you have, in this instance, RSI. We're going to pretend that the RSI is the altcoin alert score and Bitcoin is Bitcoin. So you're looking at these two data points and you'll look here at this cross and be like, okay, here's a cross. This AA score is crossing below the price, so that could mean a potential dip. Well, there's not actually a cross here. These are on two different scales that are just plotted over, like they're plotted on top of each other just to make it easier to view. Because what this data actually is this, where the AA score is actually way the hell down here, and Bitcoin is like way the heck up here. Like they're two different measurements, and like this is what the actual relationship is. So like when you're thinking there's a cross at this point, there isn't actually a cross because like they're two different values. And then also, if we split this back up to the previous view, like here we have a cross on the 16th or whatever, the 15th. But if you change the rate of the scale, you can move where a cross is. Like the cross is here on the 16th, but if I change the proportions of the scale, then it moves to there never being a cross. Like there's a cross here on the 14th of February, where if I just change the way the scales look, then that cross disappears. Like, so it's an arbitrary plot on the charts that you're looking at. So you can't infer any sort of like relationship between these two data points, because it just doesn't exist. Like the actual relationship is what? Sorry. Like this is the actual relationship of these two data streams. There is no cross. There is no like gap. And it's just something that happens when you plot like a dual axis chart. Like it's just misleading because you'll see the data up there and you're like, oh, okay, this means something, but it actually doesn't because this isn't an accurate representation of the data. This is just like a cool visual like representation. And I think like there probably is some sort like if you're using a cross or a relationship of a gap, there's probably some underlying thing that is happening there, but it is not because that warrants its own investigation because there's something that's happening, but it is not because there's a price cross, because you can make that price cross not exist if you just change the scale. Like if you just change the scale of the data, that cross disappears. Like it's not actually there. So whatever you're trading isn't because of a cross or because there's a gap. So you're going to need to think differently about how the data is represented to actually figure out how to trade that accurately. Because if you're consistently trading a cross of these two data streams, then you are consistently trading a random like factor every single time, and there's like that's just what's happening. So yeah, I don't know.